Greetings, this is Belle here. I'd like to do a tarot reading today. I think this might be day 11. It's hard to believe. It's been so much good information, a lot of good cards drawn, a lot of interesting insights and details. I'm just shuffling the cards a little bit here. Today I'm going to be using the Shadowscapes Tarot, which I've used before. It's a really beautiful tarot deck. I like to set the intention for the theme of today. I'd like the theme to be having a positive sense of the ego, having a positive sense of identity, and letting go of either negative self-talk or anything along those lines. So, in other words, having a positive sense of the ego rather than a negative sense of the ego that kind of holds us back. So I'm going to draw 5 cards today. I'm not sure what they're going to be, so we'll see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And set these aside. These are really beautiful cards. It's kind of like a mandala on the back. It's really pretty. Okay, the first card is the Ace of Swords. This is interesting. I think the sword suit can be the intellect sometimes. And it's interesting, when I think of the intellect as the suit of swords, it kind of reminds me of the intellect tends to slice through things and like create really strong boundaries, which can be good sometimes and not as good other times. So you see the sword is in the middle, and then there are butterflies and 3 swans around it. I don't know. I think this means so we set the intention that it's going to be about a positive sense of identity and the positive sense of the ego. So I would say, I don't know, some people would say this is kind of like saying the ego is I am. So you see the way the sword, it looks like a capital letter I. So it's interesting, it's kind of just demonstrating in this card the way that the ego sense of self kind of sets itself apart from nature, because you see like the swans surrounding it, but then the I am of the ego, represented by the sword, is kind of setting itself apart, kind of almost creating an island that everything else is centered around, or that's the appearance at least. Okay, on to card 2. I knew this was going to turn up. I don't know why. Okay, it's the Devil card, but I thought this was going to turn up because I was thinking about the different senses of the ego, right? I was thinking of positive or the negative sense of the ego. So in this case, I think the Devil card represents the most negative sense of the ego, the side of ourselves that just wants everything to be manipulated for ourselves, and it kind of keeps our better sense of ourselves trapped. And we don't give our heart room to expand because we're so busy manipulating things for our own gain. So that's what this means to me. This is the more negative side of our own egos. And ego, I'm just using as a term to, in this case, represent our sense of ourselves, our sense of personality, our sense of being in a world with that identity. So I think this is actually pretty interesting because it's really showing some different ways that the ego or the personality can be represented. Okay, third card, 5 of Swords. And this looks like an angel, a man with angel wings, so he's an angel, and he has these 2 geese or dark swans with him carrying swords as well. I've never gotten this card before, so I'm not exactly sure what it would mean. Well, from this height, it seems like they're flying, so they're kind of surveying the scene. They're kind of getting a new perspective. So that's what this card can mean, new perspective. And then card 4 is the 10 of Pentacles. The Pentacles are kind of the earthy suit. This is so much different than the first 3 cards. The first 3 cards were about the island of self, the devil representing the most negative sense of self, and the 5 of Swords, a new perspective. And this card is showing this really earthy, green, lush life. And this is what I see as like the positive side of the ego, the positive side of your sense of self, how you can live in the world and enjoy it and not have all of the negative tangents that go with having a sense of self. Because as soon as we define ourselves, we cut ourselves off from a lot of different other choices. And I've been thinking a lot recently about boundaries and how we create them. And sometimes we really need to. We need boundaries. But other times we create a boundary that holds us back. So I think the 10 of Pentacles is this lush, green forest of growth that can happen when we have the best sense of our personalities and our identities. The last card is the 4 of Pentacles. This continues that earthiness. But it's interesting. Okay, so 4 of Pentacles shows a small dragon, and he's kind of hoarding these pentacle coins. I think that's what's happening. It's kind of interesting because I've been thinking about this recently. There's this way of looking at dragons that they hoard gold. But I don't really think of dragons that way, because every time I've had visualizations with dragons, it's been very positive, and I have not noticed that the dragon image is about hoarding. For me, it's more about freedom and very strong sense of I was going to say a very strong sense of strength. That's kind of redundant, but I don't know. So the 4 of Pentacles, maybe this could be about not letting go. Like, for instance, this dragon has this beautiful forest around it, and the dragon could just be happy, but instead he's hoarding these gold coins. So in terms of this theme that we've been talking about for identity and sense of ego, I think this could mean knowing when it's time to let go and not hoarding or holding on to things that no longer serve you. So this is really cool. It's so hilarious because I think some of the symbolism that I've been interpreting really fits well with the theme. I know, like, we tend to picture things the way we want to once we set an intention. So it's interesting, that back and forth between setting an intention and then having it be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Who knows? But I don't know, this card was really cool. The first card about this sense of identity with that strong I am in the middle, which actually creates an island that kind of separates us from nature. And then we had, this is just a review, I guess. We had the Devil card representing like the worst of what our identity can be if we're only manipulating for ourselves. We have 5 of Swords, which I said is like seeing things from a new height or a new perspective. We had the 10 of Pentacles, which is kind of the most positive card in this layout, because it's really about just having this lush, green nature connection with life, which is much healthier than manipulating life. And then for the 5th card, just to remind us, we have the 4 of Pentacles, which is kind of telling us to let go when it's time to let go, which is always a good message, almost always something to remember. So thanks a lot for tuning in to this card reading. I hope you got some good ideas that will inspire you to think for yourself and have your own epiphanies in your own life and on your own spiritual path. Thanks a lot. Bye.